You are watching RTV News with me, Jane Mutoni. The government of Rwanda tripled the amount of money invested in the Economic Recovery Fund in an effort to accelerate the recovery of the economy devastated by the COVID-19 pandemic. The Minister of Trade and Industry, Berta Uwamariza Habyarimana, has said that Rwanda is looking for ways to cope with rising prices in the market by importing various goods from African countries based on the Africa Free Trade Area Agreement. Everyone, welcome to the news in details. Now, the government of Rwanda tripled the amount of money invested in the Economic Recovery Fund in an effort to accelerate the recovery of the economic devastated by the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, this was announced by Prime Minister Dr. Edouard Ngirente in a press conference this Wednesday. Innocent Mugawa reports.
It's been almost a year since the government of Rwanda established the Economic Recovery Fund to support the private sector in various sectors that have been severely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. The fund started with $100 million, equivalent to 100 billion Rwanda francs. In a press conference this Wednesday, Prime Minister Dr. Edouard Ngirente stressed that due to the importance of the fund in its large-scale economic recovery program, the government has increased the budget allocated to the fund.
At
the start, we invested in $100 million, equivalent to 100 billion Rwanda francs. We distributed the money among the most affected sectors at that time, whereby we began with hotels. So now, as the government of Rwanda, after realizing its impact, we decided to add in $150 million. So within 3 weeks, we shall be launching the second phase of this fund for people to understand that its operations continue and in an improved way compared to the COVID times. The capacity building of the fund will enable it benefit other sectors of the economy, including agriculture and animal husbandry, construction, industry, not forgetting tourism and hotels, as well as small and medium-sized businesses.
Ibyo byahawe izindi miliyari 100 zo kuzafasha ibyo twafashaga uyu munsi bikomeza hiyongeraho n'izindi miliyari
100 billion Rwanda francs was allocated to continue supporting these activities and 150 billion Rwanda francs to support new and expanding businesses in line with supporting the economy, which will triple the fund's worth from 100 billion Rwanda francs to 350 billion Rwanda francs. And this will help our economy recover from the COVID-19 pandemic effects and put it back on track to the sort of growth that was expected before the pandemic hit. Reiterating on the rise in the prices of various commodities on the market, Prime Minister Dr. Edouard Ngirente pointed out that the government of Rwanda continues to do its utmost to advocate for the people. The fund played a big role in sectors like transportation. For example, the fare from Nyabugogo to Rubavu would have been 4,040 Rwanda francs, but due to its intervention, it's now 3,100 Rwanda francs. So that means 1,000 Rwanda francs is covered by the government. And the same applies to all other destinations. But this shouldn't mean that this should go on like this. We should learn to keep up with the global market. The government of Rwanda also hopes that the economy will continue to recover after its decision of lifting the curfew, whereby the economy will now have longer hours to perform, with almost all activities reopened. Innocent Mugawa, RTV News.
Thank you, Innocent, for that report. Now, the Minister of Trade and Industry, Berta Uwamariza Habyarimana, said that Rwanda is looking for ways to cope with rising prices in the market by importing various goods from African countries basing on the Africa Free Trade Area Agreement. In a press conference chaired by Prime Minister Dr. Edouard Ngirente, which included members of the government, the Minister of Trade and Industry, Berta Habyarimana, said that Rwanda is continuing its talks with its neighbors to remove the barriers to trade. She cited the recent simplified trade regime agreement between Rwanda and the DRC to facilitate some goods worth less than $500 to cross the border free of tax. She also pointed out the use of border passes for small cross-border traders between Rwanda and Congo.
nkomeje ku ruhande rwa DRC ni urugero mbere hariho za jeton ibyangombwa bashobora.
Like in Congo, they used a border pass, but was stopped due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But after discussions between the two countries, it's been progressive, and we are preparing to use them again. As a matter of fact, it's been 2 weeks and a half or 3 since we've signed a simplified trade regime agreement with DRC to facilitate small cross-border traders by facilitating goods worth less than $500 to cross the border free of taxes, hence facilitating cross-border trade.
Ibyo nabyo ni ukugira ngo bibashe kuborohereza kuba bakwambukiranya bakora ubwo bucuruzi.
The issue of rising in prices for some of its products was brought up as well, mainly imports such as sugar, oil and soap. Minister Habyarimana said that the solution to this issue is to make use of the Africa Free Trade Area Agreement by looking for some of these products on the African continent.
Twavuga ko muri imyaka 2 twabashije kwiteza imbere nk'uko nyakubahwa Prime Minister yabivuze.
Rwanda has managed to achieve so much in terms of development during the past 2 years, as we now have oil factories, hence reaching 0.37% of the oil used in the country. And we've had talks with them in terms of looking for where they can get the raw materials in the neighboring countries. So when the oil prices rise, the prices of soap rise with them, as soaps are made from the remains of oil processing, which means when the price of raw materials for oil increases, the price of soap increases as well. So it's necessary to look for other African markets in order to expand. Regarding the fact that agricultural products continue to fluctuate in prices due to the agricultural season and lack of storage, the Minister of Agriculture and Animal Husbandry, Dr. Geraldine Mukeshimana, encouraged the private sector to invest in the construction of drying and storage facilities. We keep encouraging the private sector to invest in adding value to the produce. As the government injects more money into the agricultural sector, the private sector should use the opportunities available to build more drying and storage facilities in the country in order to prevent more produce from being wasted or damaged. Minister Mukeshimana says the country is proud to have achieved the goal of self-sufficiency in crop yields, and that although agricultural exports make up about 50% of the country's foreign exchange earnings, he disagrees with those who claim that the increase in prices is due to the export market, saying that the country exports a lot of the produce and leaves so little for the domestic market. The following is an announcement from the government of Rwanda. The judicial system in Rwanda operates fairly and transparently in compliance with Rwanda's laws, as well as our regional and international obligations. Everyone is equal before the law, and no one is prosecuted for having political opinions. The sustained harassment of Rwanda by Human Rights Watch does nothing more than entrench negative stereotypes about justice and human rights in Africa. Moving on, businessman Robert Bafakurera has been re-elected to chair the Private Sector Federation in Rwanda for the next 3 years, starting today, promising to expand beyond the borders of Rwanda. CD Patel reports.
Mr. Robert Bafakulera, who runs a tourism and export business, is the current director and has been running for office since he was elected in 2018. He got re-elected on Wednesday in Kigali City and has been elected with Ms. Jean-Francois Mobiligi as first Vice President of Private Sector Federation and Mr. Kimeni Amable as the second Vice President of Private Sector Federation. Winning with 122 votes and his opposition standing with only 2 votes, Mr. Robert has gained this position again.
The tourism sector is really being impacted, but now the good thing is that it's now starting to pick up again. But I think that we need to put all our efforts together to support those sectors, and that means all the PSF members, not just the committee. It's a task that every member has to take and be like, okay, I need to support. And then I think that another thing is that we need also to look at all these opportunities in different sectors that are out there and make sure that we advocate for them and we actually incite people to invest in those sectors, to make sure that we are helping and supporting to develop the country, and make sure that we are not missing any opportunity that is being presented to us, especially now that we have like an opportunity of exporting in different countries, and not forgetting to bring all the members together, because I think that together we can achieve a lot.
The private sector is urging the new executive committee to work with them to address the impact of COVID-19 and to accompany them on their overseas business delegation. The tourism sector has been suffering since the emergence of COVID-19 pandemic. They're expecting a boost in the sector and want a private sector federation to focus on the same.
The challenges were to get our crops to the market and also finding people to buy those crops, because it was a bit hard, but one of the opportunity that we saw in that challenge is actually selling online. So using the online platforms to make people hear about what you're doing is the new way that we used to reach the market. So I would say that there was a challenge, but it was also an eye-opener, which made us find new ways to actually sell our products. Yeah.
The agricultural sector is eager to see the new changes in the PSF amidst the pandemic, which has terribly affected the sector. They will be looking forward to new technologies in farming and reap more.
We're going to focus normally on capacity building of our members. We are going to focus in an open eye for our members. We know very well we have a good relationship with different countries in Africa. We know very well there is a CFTA which is in place. We know very well we are in the Central Africa. We know the big market we are in, either in Central Africa and East Africa. So in one way or another, we are intending to build the capacity of our members in Rwanda to access this market, to increase the productivity, either in industries, in agriculture, in all items which can be attractive to this regional market. Capacity building involves a lot of things. One is we do some kind of thing we call study tour. You move around either within the country or outside the country. You go with business people, our members. We take them around to learn, to network, to work together with other people. In one way or another, they build the capacity building. Secondly, we advocate for our members in the financial institutions so that they can be able to access the finances from banks. So there are many things we do. Lastly, we do all advocacy between the private sector and the government. So all these build a capacity for our members.
Mr. Robert Bafakulera has indicated that he will prioritize advocacy while expanding investment activities and indicates the launch of a partnership with the government for the benefit of local and international partners. Siddhi Patel, RTV News.
Thank you, CG, for that report. Rwanda's Ministry of Health and the United Nations Population Fund has assessed how far the country has come in attaining its goals when it comes to reproductive health, gender-based violence, child and maternity and maternal deaths during birth. Though it was noted that much has been achieved, it was also pointed out that much more needs to be done if the country is to achieve its ultimate objectives. Betty Mutoni reports.
This Wednesday, the Ministry of Health and its stakeholders have reflected on how far with the implementation of Rwanda International Conference on Population and Development commitments. And the United Nations Population Fund representative noted that Rwanda has done a great job, but also there are some of things that need a lot of efforts, as he explains.
We can say that we are at a very good level in terms of implementing of the commitments in Rwanda. Out of the 6 commitments, one can say that we have made progress in terms of the reduction in maternal mortality. We have made also some progress in family planning, unmet need in family planning. In terms of gender-based violence, we still have a bit of challenges because the COVID-19 pandemic exacerbated the situation. Teenage pregnancy is one of the issues that we really need to address. But overall, we are on track, and I think we are making very good progress.
Some of the big challenges Rwanda is facing include teenage pregnancies, which increased to 23,000 in 2021, and 5% of mothers who give birth from home.
What should be done is educating the teenagers to be contented with the lives they are living.
They lack knowledge and information about it, and that causes them to get early pregnancies. Sometimes a mother doesn't have an insurance, and he says if she goes to deliver from the hospital, they will charge her a lot of money. So she decided to deliver from home, which is not good. This meeting that was chaired by the Ministry of Health with its stakeholders was to examine what Rwanda is doing upon the meeting that Rwanda attended of International Conference on Population and Development held in Egypt in 1994 and another one in Kenya, Nairobi.
We have several indicators in that commitment. So we are trying to advance them toward the achievement by 2024. So the commitment here is 2025, but we aim to achieve most of them by 2024 to align them with NST1. So I'm saying that some of the indicators we're trying to achieve, we are in a good track. Others we're still lagging behind, but we still have to put more effort to accelerate the implementation.
Some of Rwanda's key progress, including the rate of mothers giving birth in health facilities at 95%, family planning rate is at 58%, and maternal mortality rate is 203 per 100,000, and infant mortality rate at 19 children per 1,000, and the infant mortality rate of children below 5 years is at 45 per 1,000, and those who die before turning a year is at 33 per 1,000 live births. Betty Mutoni, RwandaTV News.
Majirajere residents in Nyarugenge district have affirmed that the eradication of child stunting is possible if they work with officials. Ghislaine Mugwaniza reports.
Parents in Majirajere sector in Nyarugenge district are being taught on how to fight child stunting through Zero Stunting campaign that is happening in Nyarugenge sector. However, these parents have noted what causes child stunting.
The child stunting problem is caused by parents' mindsets, because most of the times parents are working and forget to take care of their children. Another problem is that there are parents that do not know how to prepare a good meal for their children.
If I have to go at 6 a.m. in the morning and see my child again at 3 p.m., does that child have someone to care for him or her in a proper way? That is why malnutrition is found in children. Zero Stunting campaign is aiming at ending child stunting in Nyarugenge district that ranks 27.9% of child stunting and rates high in Kigali city. According to Utamwa Health Center, there is a step that has been made in fighting stunting. Comparing to previous years, child stunting is reducing. For example, we used to receive 15 to 20 children that are stunted per day, but today we receive like 6. You understand that there is a difference. This is a result of different programs that are set to care for those children so that we may be able to fight and eradicate malnutrition in children under 5 years. Nyarugenge district officials are hoping that child stunting changes will start happening within a year, and there are some expectations.
This campaign is expected not only to deal with stunting cases, but also to deal with the side effects of stunting. This includes the daily livelihood of the people, how people have been wasting their time looking for food, looking for money that could support them in dealing in getting health facilities. So we are expecting a lot from this campaign.
The goal of Zero Stunting campaign in Nyarugenge district is to reduce child stunting from 27.9% to 19% or end it within 2 years. Ghislaine Mugwaniza, RTV News.
On behalf of the entire news production team, thank you so much for your company. I'm Jane Mutoni. Bye for now.